Hello, our truth warriors, and welcome back to the Atlantic Underground. I'm back today with possibly the two best financial and geopolitical experts in the world, Greg Mannarino and Lava. Now, tomorrow is the 4th of July, and Greg was going to have his lions and people march upon the Federal Reserve. But seeing as most of you were busy deciding what your pronouns are after Pride Month, it was cancelled due to lack of interest. So, today, we're going to explain why your lack of caring is going to be the one and final coffin nail. And those that do care enough to share this and get it out there, this is where we're going to explain what the bastards are really up to. Greg and Lava, how are you both? It's great to see you.
I am well,
Thanks.
thank you very kindly.
Okay,
Great to
so
be here.
I would like to first expand on the web of deceit and ask Greg and Lava about the head of the snake, which is the Bank of International Settlements, or as I like to call it, the Tower of Babel. So, Greg, can you tell us about the Bank of International Settlements?
We could dissect this thing into all the tranches and pieces that we want to. It's all one enormous, disgusting, vomitous, freaking hypocrisy. And we're all paying for it. And it's not going to stop until we get enough people to freaking say enough is enough. I already feel my blood boiling. That just got me going. No, I'm telling you, it's the truth.
No, no.
There are a lot of people who do a lot of talking, and then when it comes to taking action, they want somebody else to do it. I mean, I've discovered this. This is why we're not getting together tomorrow on the 4th of July. Look, man, I reached out to a couple of YouTubers with channels way bigger than mine. They wanted nothing to do with it at all. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and name names, although I could. They know who they are. It's embarrassing. It really is, and they should be embarrassed. They proclaim one thing, and of course, it's not true. And you discover these things the longer you're around. And I've been around for a long time, and I've had a wake up call as of late, and I have to say that I realize that there are really not too many of us who are willing to actually commit to anything. And it's so disturbing. It really is. People look for answers, but then again, they have their own truths that if whatever if it doesn't align with their already preconceived kind of beliefs, then it's just wrong. And they're going to keep on sitting there and seeking and never find anything. That's just the way people are, it seems to me, at least at this particular time. And look, man, I'm not speaking for everyone. There are some, and it's an elite group, truthfully, who are willing to get together, Lava being one, you another one, and there's other people too, and do something. And it's not enough. It's not enough by a long shot, by exponents. To really create positive change means we must unify. We have to come together with one voice, with one mission. That's it. If we don't do this, if we fail to do that, well, we all lose. And I believe that the three of us here, we're committed to something seriously. And I just want more people to say, look, man, when is it going to be time for these other people to say, I'm willing to put up? Now is the time to do it, everyone. I mean, it could not be more obvious, at least to me. And I would believe I'm speaking for the other two of you as well.
Yeah. So Lava, the head of the snake, the controlling factor over the central banks is the Bank of International Settlements. What can you tell us about them and the actual power that they're able to wield across the world? Oh, Lava, you're muted.
Thank you kindly.
There she is.
So Greg is bringing up the important part, but they work in the shadows. There's levels above them. But what we're looking at coming very rapidly, I believe, very shortly here, they're going to do a conversion. And that's kind of what we need to talk about. And his timing for this is kind of prior to them setting this in. So the digital conversion is going to include everything with the biometrics, with tying us down, locking us down, the freedoms are going to go away very rapidly. And I see the setups for this all around it. Now, I know you're heading towards the head of the snake, but this very rapidly going to turn to where it's going to be untouchable because it's going to be all digital and then online. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
gonna be tough.
let's just expand on that a little bit. And she's nailing it to the wall as usual. She's the best here, and I wish more people would listen to her because she's the truth teller. People know the truth when they hear it. She's so calm, and I love that about her. People that know how I am, and I just blow my stack off. I just can't keep it inside, like other people can. I wish I could. I'm kind of like a raging lion in many, many ways here. I'm trying to learn to control myself. But the fact of this, these institutions are untouchable. Untouchable. They can do what they want, when they want, with no oversight. How is that even right in any way, shape, or form? And we're moving towards another system. And I want people to look this up for themselves. This so-called shadow Fed that is being developed. It's a real thing. It's not a replacement of the Federal Reserve. It's an upgrade to the current system, but even darker. Why is it being called shadow? Shadow. The name alone should tell people that this is something that's being hidden. It's a mask. And I'll tell you something. I've been saying this for 1,000 years now. It's not really the mask that bothers me. We all know it's a mask. It's what's behind it that people need to start digging for. And they sit there. People believe that there's going to be, and they sell it to you as if there's some kind of a salvation. It's not. It's leading directly to what Lava just outlined in detail. This digital control system on a scale that people are not ready for. But what's happening? You got throngs of people here with their thumb in the wrong place. I was going to say something. We have a lady in the room. I'm not going to say it. But I mean, it's pretty freaking obvious what's going on. And yeah, you know what? I am a little bit angry. I'm always angry because I can't stand to see what's happening to people. And then they're doing nothing about it. And when they're asked to do something about it, well, no, I can't do it. I mean, you got to be freaking kidding me. But, well, this is, again, it's a controlled society. People are afraid. I understand that. I think what this comes down to for people who want to, let's say, get involved, they want to, but then there's a wall. There's a fear wall here. What we touch on, the three of us here, this is dangerous. This is dangerous knowledge. You're not allowed to know these kinds of things here. Who's really in control, who the puppeteers and the puppet masters are. So when we're out here talking about this stuff, and then people, they get this feeling of, and I don't blame them, of like impending doom. Okay, like, well, you know what? If I do this, then maybe this will happen. Obviously, this is the truth. But look, man, fear is a paralyzing agent. Clearly, okay. Yeah. Put the fear over here. You got to realign yourself with the source. Your fear goes away. I'm afraid of nothing. What can they do? What are they going to do? They're going to kill me. They're going to kill. Beautiful. All right. Does it really matter? No, because here's the lie. You want to talk about a bigger lie? There is no death. There is only life. Okay. People are, afraid of these things, but I don't understand it. Look, either they're going to submit to a very shadow new system here that's already being built right in front of their face, and some people think this is some kind of a salvation. Of course, it's always sold that way. This is ancient, going back as far as you want to go, but it's not. And people will be again, and they're being forced right now on their knees. They're using the currency and the economy as a weapon. Where's the war? The real war is on us. And I don't care where you live in the so-called developed world here. The war is on you. It's not over in the Middle East or in Israel and Gaza. It's right here. It's on every single one of us right here. And I would be very hard pressed to believe that either one of you is going to disagree with that, because that's exactly what's going on. But what are the people doing? I don't know. Somebody smarter than me, which is both of you, please enlighten me.
So here's one, Greg. How federal is the Federal Reserve?
This is for me.
I knew
give this to the beautiful, lovely Lava over there, because I've talked way too much already.
Go on, Lava. How federal is the Federal Reserve? Oh, you're on mute again, my dear. There she is.
It's as federal as Federal Express.
Yeah.
Completely. So then they can do their little things. Now, that's not to say that they're not taking government funds and doing as they wish with it. It's just that they're not federal
Yeah. No, absolutely not federal
and
at
no
all.
reserves.
Yeah, that's it. This is a private organization, and people don't realize where their money actually comes from. Greg, how far do you think the owners of the central banks go to make sure that every country in the world has a central bank?
How far will they go? There's no limits. There is no limits to any of this thing. It's a system that is, well, morally bankrupt, infinitely disgusting, perverted, twisted, and it's leading us all down the same pathway. I don't care again where you live on this planet. If you are being forced to survive, exist, I don't know, it isn't even in existence anymore, under the rulership of one of these institutions. And collectively, look, man, I've written papers about this. I've exposed the entire thing. I've named names. I've told people who they are. A lot of people think it's all a conspiracy theory, but it's a fact. And I urge people, look, man, everything I talk about, everything I put out in my newsletter, my New Freedom platform, look, just research it. Is Greg really making all this stuff up? Or is it actually, as a matter of fact, I just put this out this morning. This is a piece here. And I tell people, just think about what I say, and do you see it or no? It's real. But look, what's going to happen here, and it's already in full effect, is more extortion of whatever they can get out of us. What are they doing here? First of all, as Lava and I have outlined many times here, they're trying to get people to submit in any way that they can to a new system. And how are they doing this? By putting pressure on the current one, making people dependent on this system while they build shadow systems in the background. I mean, look this stuff up, people. Anyone here listening? There's a shadow Fed being built right now. And I outlined this whole thing, who's behind it, where it's going, and it's all in my newsletter for anyone that subscribes there.
Yeah.
It's too obvious, at least to me, and I'm certain to you guys, and probably we're sitting here preaching to the choir. Anybody that's here now with us gets it. So what do we need to do? We need to get the message out there, and that's where the people listening should start to take action. Get it out there. Let people understand what's going on. Let them make up their own minds. Look, me, Lava, you, we're not here to change anybody's mind, I don't think. I think what we're here to do is say, okay, this is what's happening, and then hand it off. Let them decide for themselves.
Yeah.
And then do what? Okay, make a decision. All right, you've taken an action, but now take it to the next level here. That means, doing something about it. And that's really, look, man, that's all I'm trying to do is raise awareness. I've been out here for 1,000 years, it seems so far. And making people understand that they're not slaves, although they maybe think they are. And most people have really fallen into a trap that it's a real thing, people. It's called learned helplessness. And I think that's another reason why people didn't want to back the July 4th march on the Fed, or YouTubers out here with big channels didn't want. They feel like, maybe they feel like they can't do anything. And that's also, it's a controlled response, like Pavlov's dog. People learn to surrender. Well, I can't do anything about it, so I'm not going to do anything about it. And that is a cop out. Again, it's a surrender. This guy here, there's no way I'm surrendering. Neither are you, and neither is Lava, and that's the way it's going to go. So I hope, look, I know I'm doing a lot of talking here, and I'd rather listen to Lava because I love her voice. So let's get her involved.
So the term conspiracy theory was coined by the CIA after John F. Kennedy's assassination. Now, Lava, John F. Kennedy wanted to remove the central bank. He knew what it was, and he wanted to get rid of that in the US. And he'd already, from what I'm aware of, printed these greenback dollars that would be government issue notes. Lava, what would have been the benefits of these? And is this likely one of the reasons why he was assassinated? You're on mute again, Lava.
I think that is a lot of, a bit of speculation there. But isn't it funny And if you believe in coincidences, then you can believe that as well. But there's a lot, central banks like their power, they don't want to give it up. And I've got one other thing to add about the central banks. There are a few countries, and you can look them up, that are not within this system. There's very few.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, if you do an overlay with who we are at war with, at distances with, if will,
Yeah.
I'll just say, for instance, Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you can look it up. You can look it up because, yes, this all sounds like conspiracy theory. You have to see it for yourself, especially if you're new here. You're probably saying, who are these,
Yeah.
these people? A little bit strange, but with what you brought up, yeah, it's absolutely tied in, I believe. I mean, it was a little bit before my time, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's very clear what happened with him.
That's it. And it's funny, as you say, with the wars, we've had the likes of George Soros with his color revolutions and destabilization campaigns, and every war or every civil overthrow of government within those countries afterwards appears a central bank. And this can't be coincidence, not by a long shot, because at the end of the day, this is what they want. They have to have the power and control of the monetary systems within those countries for them to then completely control and run every government. Now, Greg, is the Federal Reserve untouchable in regards to review, oversight, and accountability, especially when it comes to auditing? I know that Ron Paul for years was calling for the auditing of the Federal Reserve, but this has never happened. Are they that massively powerful?
They are. They absolutely are. And they've been vaulted to the pinnacle of power over the last few presidents here. They've always been that way, but the last few presidents in the United States have vaulted the Fed to the pinnacle of power. The game that is being played right now between our current president and the Federal Reserve is one that makes me want to literally throw up.
Yeah.
I can't, it's a mass hypnosis that's going on here. We need a weaker currency. We need a weaker currency, and that's going to all of a sudden make the United States competitive on the global stage with regard to trade. All of a sudden, we're going to weaken the dollar more than it's weak already here, and now the world is just going to be raging, roaring to go out and buy U.S. products. Nothing could possibly be further from the truth. But this is such a gross distortion of truth. But what would you expect when we have this kind of puppet? They're all puppets. I mean, everyone knows I was not a fan of Joe Biden in whatsoever, and I had some pretty tasteful names for the guy. But this one here takes the cake. Him and his cohort there, Damian Thorne, absolutely saying the same thing. It's a mass hypnosis. I mean, but when is one person going to say, well, hold on a minute, how much of the currency purchasing power is left? It's maybe, I don't know, just a few percentage points. How much more do we need to take before the world is going to roar and cheer for our products? And what you also don't hear out of the mouth of the president of the United States, nor his cohort, Damian Thorne, I'm talking about J.D. Vance, is how this is going to destroy, again, the purchasing power of the currency here for the people that live in the United States. And this is a mission that's going on around the world. Central banks are sucking the purchasing power of the currency. We're in a race to the bottom. I've been telling people this for 1,000 years. And whoever gets there first, obviously, it's a coordinated effort to force people into accepting the system that Lava was talking about right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we have here is, I mean, think about it. I mean, this is such basic economics that even a sub-moron could even understand. But it seems that our president doesn't know this, and neither does J.D. Vance. So that is, the consumers are dying. Consumer demand is dying. Why? Because their currency is being evaporated. Therefore, they can't consume. If they're not consuming, what does that do? It kills the factories. Here in the United States, our factories are literally dying, hoping for a lifeline. How can we fix that? Well, return purchasing power to the currency, not take it away. I don't care if President Trump, and with collusion with J.D. Vance and the Federal Reserve, who's obviously sitting in the back looking like they're resisting President Trump. Every central bank wants one thing: their ability to inflate, their ability to devalue the currency makes them exponentially stronger. But this lie has been sold to masses of people right now, and they buy it. So, I mean, just imagine right now, the dollar has lost 96% of its purchasing power, maybe even more than that. So if we take another 1% away or 2%, the world's going to be roaring for our products. They're going to go out and say, let's buy American. I can't believe there's a single person on the earth who actually can believe that that's true. But that's what's being sold to them right now. How about this lie? this trade agreement that President Trump just made with Vietnam, that we are going to be paying a 20% tax or tariff? Or no. Vietnam is paying for them. That's what he said. It's not true. Anyone knows that. Everybody knows that it's not the nation who pays the tariff. It's the importers, and those are passed on. For example, here in the United States, there are nations with tariffs on us. Is the United States paying those tariffs? No. Paying by the importers on the other side and being passed on. But this is the lie. The lie is so extreme right now that I think the more extreme they can make a lie, the more people are actually going to believe it. And it's hypnosis. It's diabolic, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's it. It's insane. But most people are living the pipe dream and living the hope that everything's going to get better. And we all know it's not coming back. Now, Lava, when we look at the world debt clocks, this to me is a very telltale sign. And I took these numbers last night, and obviously this morning it's increased. But Canada, this is what the countries owe in debt. Canada owes $1,194,322,000,000. They are paying $30 billion in interest a year, and it's rising. The United Kingdom, £1,811,359,000,000 in interest a year. They're paying $52 billion alone. Now, those are some big numbers until we look at the United States of America. The United States of America owe $21,178,379,000,000. That is $170 billion in interest per year, and is rising faster. It's actually $5,367 per second in interest only. And my question to you, Lava, while you're on mute again, is who do they owe this money to?
That's a good question. But what I'd like to address is what we've got going on right now is a bit of a shell game. And in not really coincidence, the Central Banking Forum, ECB Forum for the Central Bankers, is going on in Sintra, Portugal right now. And they've all gotten together, and they're all, they say they don't collude. Of course not. I'm sure they're just talking about other things and not about any of this at all. But they're all shifting this back and forth, and they're playing this with the currency differences. And the largest thing lately that's come up is the supposed strength of the euro. Now, this is a relative strength. Christine Lagarde is looking at coming in. And this is all the debt that they're talking about. The more important part is the debt to the GDP, because the lie that they're giving everybody is that we can grow our way out of this.
Yeah.
In the meantime, they're messing with the rates. They're shifting this back and forth to each other as they need to keep this perpetuating.
Yeah.
And they've got this surface story going on right here that there is, as Greg brought up, this fight between Trump and Fed Powell. Well, this is just allowing Powell to go out the door because he's leaving soon and say, well, I left the economy in a good space. Now, all of this is owed back to them, everything that's borrowed plus interest. So how is that going to work in the long run? Mm-hmm. We've got an impossible game. We're all born into this, and they start the PSYOP, as Greg would call it, right away from day one. Yeah. And they're going to crush us down into this. I believe what they're doing is they're kind of leveling it out so that the UK, they need a little bit more of a boost, so to speak, so that we can float all these waters, so that when they do the conversion, it can happen all at once. Yeah. And that's what I'm looking at. And I'm watching Bank of Japan, because they are the largest holder of United States treasuries. China is also a massive holder of these. And those are not to go unnoticed, because those can cause serious issues. We saw this back last August when Japan decided to level out things on their own without permission. So they're all, chatting about and having a wonderful time over there, but they're not colluding. So
no, that's
anyway.
it. And all this debt owed back to people that print money out of thin air, that have controlled it for centuries. It's just absolutely insane. Now, Greg, we see the likes of Keir Starmer, Mark Carney, and Donald Trump as the figurehead puppets that people are screaming at. The emotion that people vent at these people is beyond normal. Should people ignore these game players and go directly after the real enemies of the state, the central banks, and demand that we be put back on the likes of a gold standard and not move towards this digital fiat currency that is now starting to emerge?
The entire system is a mode of enslavement. Bankers enslave the population, central bankers included, by the mechanism of interest, as you just alluded to, and going over how the nation is in debt beyond its eyeballs here. And the mechanism is never meant to be paid back. It's only meant to continue to inflate. Going to your question just real quick here, of course, but that's the grand deception. They got to put a face on it. You see, people can't have a very difficult time articulating what they don't understand. And that's why this system operates in the shadows. It's unbelievable. It really is. The whole system is a shadow system. And the biggest issue that I think people have a hard time understanding is how the system functions at its core. And it's a very simple concept. It demands that relentless debt be pulled into it via any mechanism they can come up with. Here in the United States, and I just uncovered this morning, and I put a newsletter out about it. So the U.S. Treasury is buying back its own debt to create. It's the debtor and also a buyer of its own debt here. It's creating out of nothing a mystery buyer just to fake demand. But the problem is, at its core, is this is really the root of the system. Even though we appear, and I've been telling people this for years, that we are, everyone would say, all the debt you were just talking about, oh my goodness, there's so much debt, what's going on? We're paying all this interest on it. Even though it appears that way, the illusion is, or maybe the delusion, I don't know how you want to actually, or the reality is, there's not enough debt to sustain the system, even though it seems like it's maxed out. It can't function without pulling or a mechanism to inflate. That's the only thing keeping it afloat. And that's what the system is completely and 100% insolvent. It's broke. Banks passing stress tests and all this stuff is nonsense. They all have negative real balance sheets, and it's just completely over. But again, they must continue to perpetuate the lie that the system is functioning, because once confidence is lost, the word confidence is lost, it's over. We are operating in an illusion or a delusion, or I can't even get my head around it myself, I'll be honest with you. But the mechanism here is we are in collapse. We're not waiting for it. It's happening now. Currency right now is in default by proxy. Inflation is a tax on all of us, although, and the numbers that they're floating out here are all fake. It's an amazing thing how they've rigged the entire system. The media is involved as well here. Thank goodness for shows like yours and Lava's. Forget mine. This is where, this is what it's all about, man. Is people getting their heads around this stuff enough to realize that this is just a conjured up mechanism to create slaves, nation slaves to their central bank. How does it actually work? All right. And let's just, it's all basically the same here. In the United States, the U.S. Treasury, we got to sell X amount of debt here just to finance our day-to-day activity. Otherwise, if no one buys that debt, what happens? The whole system just locks up, a credit freeze, which is coming anyway. So who's buying it? Who's monetizing the whole thing? Well, in this case, it's the Federal Reserve. And now it's been revealed that the Federal Reserve, it's all in these papers I put out. The Federal Reserve is using the major banks to finance or also buy the debt via a back channel. And it's an incredible thing to witness. And that's what we understand. The system is being dismantled. The system is being brought to its knees further. They're using currency devaluation massively. This big, beautiful bill, it's a wrecking machine for the economy. As more, who's paying for it? Where's all the funds come from to pay for that? It comes right out of the Fed, makes them stronger. The big lie, what was being told during President Trump's last tenure was, why is President Trump spending so much here? Because he's trying to bankrupt the Fed. No, every dollar that the Fed or any central bank is called on to issue via even the mechanism of artificially suppressed rates doesn't make them weaker. It makes them much stronger. In fact, a hockey stick starts to take off. Their strength solidifies here. So that's the mechanism here. And I would say what we just covered here in just the last few minutes, 99% of the population has no idea. Yeah. None at all. That's how the system is actually functioning. And that's why the system, and it's ending. And they're working towards a new system of maximum control. And that's where the new shadow Fed comes in.
Yeah.
And it's already happening. It's already being built. And people better start waking up because they're going to wish that they took action now, at least while they maybe have the chance.
Yeah,
that's really what it's all about.
Lava, let's go back a little bit in time. And can you tell us what happened at Jekyll Island? And also, what did the puppet president Franklin Roosevelt do in 1933 on behalf of the central banks?
I feel like I'm on Jeopardy.
Oh, yeah, do the music. Is that your song?
So there is, I'm just going to say in short, there is a book. It's called Creature from Jekyll Island, and I highly recommend that because he goes into a little more detail as far as the levels of what happened there when these central banks this coalition, when they met, there are now these elites that meet on this island, and they are making the decisions for all of us. So they've got this system in place. That's when they created this actually it was in the works before, but they kind of kicked the gears into rolling. And yeah, so our government doesn't love us.
No.
I'll just
and
I want to say one other thing too. I wouldn't tell anybody to look up Operation Mockingbird, but if you feel like doing it, wondering why so many people are under these different ideas, it might give you a little clue.
Yes. CIA Operation Mockingbird. I would recommend anybody look that up. Now, Greg, if you control the printing press, you can make as much money as you want. Should it be illegal for the New York Fed to have a trading desk on Wall Street? And what do they do with that?
The whole system is illegal. The whole thing is illegal. Governments are illegal. The system is illegal. We don't get to make the laws. We don't get to make the choices anymore. I mean, people have literally become zombies, and they're getting exactly what they asked for. They're allowing the system to destroy them, and they're sitting back and again doing nothing about it, other than maybe the people that are listening to you and Lava here right now, and they got to understand. Look, man, we could change this. We could change it all, but it would require one thing: commitment. It would require people to step up. It would require people to unify, but they won't. And I really believe it's because they've been brainwashed into something. In the United States, I've never seen anything like this in my entire. I'll be 60 years old in a couple of days, and I've never seen anything like this in my life. Even when I started doing this over a decade ago, I never would believe we would be here right now, even talking about this kind of stuff. And it's unbelievable, really, and it's a coordinated effort to extort whatever they can out of all of us. And of course, the Federal Reserve with their printing press and having a trading desk, getting into the market, the plunge protection team, keeping the system afloat via artificial liquidity of the system being pumped with more debt, not from productivity, but it's going to just erase the rest of the economy. And it's just the biggest thing that I just can't get over here right now. And honestly, going back to what we just spoke about, imagine a sitting United States president saying the currency isn't strong enough. In finance and economics, it's got to get weaker. In other words, he's saying kill the currency. Okay. In economics and finance, there are really only two fundamental truths, and just two. And that is, to have a strong economy, you need a strong currency. So when you hear a president say, we got to kill the currency, you realize he's saying, I'm going to kill the economy to allow the central bank, in this case, the Fed, to do whatever it wants, to extort out of you your freedoms, your liberties, and everything that you could possibly imagine. And the people are cheering for it. They don't. And what bothers me mostly here is the MAGA crowd. The MAGA crowd has become mute. They can't speak out. They were taken to the streets. They were taking the Capitol down. They thought that there was the end of the republic. But meanwhile, what are they doing now? Absolutely nothing. Yeah. They literally are sitting there mute. They're not taking action. They can't speak anymore. Although everything that they believed was going to happen isn't.
No.
We're watching the destruction of the nation. We're watching the currency be destroyed. And calls for lower rates here, dramatically lower rates means the currency loses purchasing power and they lose. Even though they are losing, they're not winning. They've become mute. They can't say anything. They're not taking any action about it. They're just sitting back. They think that there's some other kind of a grand plan in place. This is hypnosis. This is some other kind of, it's devilism, in my opinion, okay, that has taken over their mind. I think they've literally been spiritually disenfranchised willingly. And I say reconnect with the source, okay, because that's all the power you need. Once you realize that, everything will become clear to you. People's brains are in a fog. They're in a fog. They don't know what's happening. So henceforth, they don't know what action to take. But I believe the clarity begins with your alignment with the Father, with God, the creator of all things. I know Lava believes that way. Look what she's wearing around her neck right now. Okay. You too. We're all on the same page. Okay. So this is how we win. Otherwise, we surrender. And the system right now is being run by devils from the White House on down. And the sooner we all get hip to that, the better off we're all going to be. Until that time, it's just freaking over, man.
Yeah, that's it. Now, Lava, let's bring something else into the mix. The largest institutional shareholder of BlackRock is Vanguard, and the largest majority shareholders of global corporations makes this duopoly the machine that controls pretty much everything that we have in our lives on a daily basis. Do we know how connected these two monsters are to the central banks?
They are part of when Greg is bringing up the shadow banking, there's levels up. And you don't hear about the
100%.
names, yeah, that actually own these. It's not politicians. It's nobody you're going to see on TV necessarily. These are so deep in, and it's not just the stock market. They own mortgage-backed securities. They own, they're going to own everything. They're in the process at the moment. They've already got this approved. They're working on the tokenization. They've been tokenizing treasuries for the trade. All of the derivatives quite soon are going to be, people are going to be tokenized. They've got everything on this. Real estate is now moving over on this, all of this commercial. So they're just going to, if they need to, they're doing it in the background now. Right now, they're doing it. Now, if it comes to light or if there's an issue or if there's pushback, that's when I expect some type of event will coincidentally happen, and that will force people to have to get behind it. Now, I would like to add a couple of things about this, about what people need to do. I strongly believe you need to have community with you because you're getting constantly bombarded with all of these well, it's lies. You're getting a lot of lies and propaganda about how this is from mainstream media. You're not going to get the truth. So you're going to be around a lot of people that think you're crazy and all kinds of things. So if you can get into a community of like-minded, not only will it strengthen you, but you will also learn just exponentially faster. And that's what I believe you need to do. Because once you know these things and you feel a little bit better about it, it will embolden you. Because I think we do need to take action on some of these things. I understand some people have small children and, not in the position. It's very easy for me to say that I'm going to stand up, but I get that. But we still need to stand together as a community.
Yeah.
It's the only way. And not to mention, we've got to get out of this system. And part of that is holding real assets, gold, silver. And you have to know who these people are so you can trade real food that's not been poisoned. You can trade real assets when you need something and rebuild that way. At least that's my view.
Yeah. One thing you did mention there that we probably just need to expand a small amount upon here for people to understand. You said that people will be tokenized. Now, probably there's a lot of people watching this video now that don't understand what this means for people in regards to being tokenized. Could you just explain to us what tokenizing people around the world means?
So people are going to be looked at as a unit of energy, if you will, to be very summarized about it. But what is going to happen, very similar, the closest thing would be like a social security number that you have now, but it's going to link all of your activity, all of your social media activity, your finances, everything you purchase, every place you go, the GPS location. That's why they're building out these massive data centers so that they can indeed log all of these things on every person, and then they're going to be trading them back and forth as another type of security. And I know this sounds odd, so I hesitate to talk about some of these things, but look, if you look it up and just give it a moment, I know it's a lot to take in if you knew, but it's going to happen. It's in the process right now.
Yeah. And is it most likely that Peter Thiel has just been handed the keys to this beast?
Hey, let me just get
Absolutely.
in here real quick. Alaba, I just want to say how you nailed that to the wall. I mean, I really hope people heard what you just said and really just take a minute to look into this. It's an incredible thing. It's happening. It is going to happen. Everything is going to be reduced into a tradable asset via one mechanism. And I mean everything. The entire system is going to be digitalized in one way. Even people, even human life, everything about you is going to become a tradable asset. It's disgusting. It literally is biblical what we're seeing. I mean, I know I'm going off that way, and I'm sick and tired of keeping my mouth shut about this, because I can tell you something. Every time I open my mouth about this, I lose subscribers. And you know what? I don't give a damn. I'll be honest with you. If they can't handle the truth, then I'm sorry. Then maybe they don't belong with this particular crowd here, because we see it. And it's just too obvious right now. But that's where we're going. And I just wanted to throw that in here because I think, Lobby, you just freaking nailed it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Greg, every day we sit and watch an incredible performance. Most people think I'm talking about yours and Lava's YouTube channel, which is absolutely incredible. And anybody watching today that have never seen Lava on YouTube or Greg on YouTube, I really do urge you to go and subscribe to these, because the information that you're going to receive every day is going to be very much a guiding light to help you move forward. But no, I'm actually talking about specifically the show that is the Banksters Broadway blockbuster, more dramatic than an episode of Dallas, where we eagerly await the shocking moments as the rug is pulled from under the main participants. The financial wars and tariffs hint towards this next episode. US sanctions now, and trading with things like Mexican banks, where they're starting to close these things down and say it's money laundering, drug money, everything that's going on. Are they just thinning down the contenders at the moment? Are they starting to reduce the banks? Are we going to see a lot of banks disappear, where there will be just one bank controlling this whole theatre of digital currency moving forward and become the master of the shadow banking system that we've been discussing here?
I can't tell you for how many years that I've been explaining, or at least trying to explain to people, that we are seeing, and what's happening right now, a consolidation of power in fewer and fewer and fewer hands. Absolutely. We are going to see the entire system be streamlined, I suppose. I don't even know the word. Compressed, however, into, again, a mechanism where there are literally, and it's always been like this since the beginning of time, a handful of puppeteers who really are running the entire system. And what's happening here, what's happening to the United States right now, and this is all over the world, but the United States is the hub. The hub of what's happening here is they found a way, and they got the right people in place right now to dismantle the current system, destroy the nation from within, steal its wealth via, first of all, the mechanism here is just to, as they're wiping out the economy, as they're wiping out the middle class, to push that wealth right up to 1% and 2%. The United States is being cut up piece by piece and sold off in reality, in many ways. As a matter of fact, in reality, we got Trump selling $5 million gold cards. You want to the rich. I mean, and this is supposed to pay down the debt. It's not working. It was never meant to work. And I can't believe that his people weren't up in arms about it, but it's okay if Trump does it. You see, this is spiritual disenfranchisement on an epic scale, and you're seeing it in real time. But the fact of the matter is yes, in the grandest of scales here, we are going to see a further and dramatic consolidation of power moving forward. And people just they seem really, for the most part, they don't see it. People that follow our work, they do. They follow Lava's work, absolutely. You, absolutely. Me, I have no idea. At least I hope so. But at least we're trying, man. This is what I say. I want people to listen to what we've spoken about here. And, maybe some of this stuff seemed a little far-fetched to you, and you're going to dismiss it. You see, because it goes back to what I was saying earlier. People have in their head a preconceived truth. And although they are seeking answers, if that truth somehow doesn't jive with their already preconceived truth, they dismiss it.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to say to people is, open your mind. Be willing to accept that what you believe may be fact. Well, maybe it isn't. And that is the road to wisdom. That pathway there. You got to take down those walls here that we all have them. I think, even myself, I would have to say, but I try to open my mind. I believe I'm a pretty open-minded person, but people got to be willing to say, you know what, I might be wrong about something. Listen to another perspective, and then try to look, man. I don't know everything. I know nothing. In fact, that's the one thing that I know is I know nothing. It's the truth. Zero. Okay. If you know that, then you're willing to accept anything at that point here as truth. But you have to go, Ken, look through it, filter it out. Okay, some stuff here you'll realize it's just garbage. Other stuff, if it intrigues you, like some of the stuff that we've spoken about here, don't let this video here, this talk that we're having, be the end of it. Now is where these people themselves need to get involved by evaluating what we said. Did Greg Mannarino say something that was a lie? Because this hit me the wrong way. So research it yourself. Maybe Greg is lying to you. Make up your own mind. Maybe, whatever else it might be. But this is where they drop the ball. They hear this stuff, and then they just kind of goes in here and they go out their business. They go out to lunch. They go out, have some pizza, whatever else, go get gas in the car, whatever. It stops there. And this is what the puppeteers are counting on, that you're just going to just ignore this, or maybe, it sounded good, but tomorrow you're going to forget about this whole thing.
Yeah.
That can't happen. If we really want to make positive change, if we really want to make a difference that will affect not just ourselves, okay? This isn't about me or even Lava or you. The three of us here, what are we doing? Why are we here? Why were we, the three of us here, given this kind of a platform so we can reach people? You think this is just by accident or just by chance? I don't believe that. I believe that the three of us here were chosen maybe by a higher power. For those of you who don't believe in it, well, I believe we were, maybe, to get this message out. Why else would we be here? Because we're just so great? Greg Mannarino is just such a great person? No, I'm nothing. Zero. But again, we got this platform, and maybe via this platform and whatever else, we can get the message out there for people who will let it sink in and say, you know what? These people, they're onto something. And now it's my turn to pass it on, move it forward here, share this stuff, get it out there. And I think we'll really begin. We could start a freaking revolution. It's about a freaking revolution. I want my dream. My dream is to maybe take over an entire nation. How do you do that? You start out small. Yeah. I already said what I'd like to do with my freedom platform is start a community under a lion freedom flag or something along those lines. Branch out to, let's say, a municipality. Maybe we can take a state. If you could take a state, you could take the country. Yeah. I mean, take it back. That's how you make America great again. Not by going along with whatever's happening here. Anyway, that's my thing. And I know I'm talking too much, but I'm kind of pressed for time. So I got to kind of get out of here. You guys should still go, but let's just stick around for a minute. You can follow up on that.
Yeah. No problem. No, that's all good. Lava, should people be aware of what's coming? Are we looking at a lockup of the financial system? Are we looking at a collapse of the financial system? And why is digital currency the last of any freedom that people will know?
I want to bring something up. I think this is going to wake up people. I apologize if this gets your video taken down.
We don't care.
But I'm going to go back one moment. You mentioned the name Pete Thiel. Peter Thiel,
yes.
one of the original PayPal mafia. In PayPal with Elon Musk. Now, the reason I'm bringing him up is he has just gotten in with Lucky Palmer. If you're not familiar with that name, he is the CEO of a company called Anduril. Anduril makes drones. They've got massive military contracts. Pete Thiel now is also behind Palantir, the data center portion of it. It is now the artificial intelligence company that programs these drones. They have been collecting people's data for a long time, up to and including your DNA, if they have had the opportunity. Now, where this is going is because those two, as of yesterday, were just approved a charter for the first digital bank called Erebor. Look it up. Erebor. And those two are intend to bring in the first digital currency, looking at their own stable coin. Now, mind you, they've already had experience with this through PayPal. Now, I want to bring up a couple of other things. First off, with the drone technology paired with the artificial intelligence technology, they've got all of your data. They've now got the digital currencies that are in here, the massive government contracts. Now, any type of economy we've got going forward is war economy. That big bill that just came out has billions, with a B, billions, slated particularly for the Department of Defense, called the DoD. Massive amounts of these funds are going to be funneling down directly to these two people, these two companies. Now, the third element that I'm going to bring into this now is satellite communications and tracking. The third one, Elon Musk. Now, Elon Musk has Starlink and SpaceX, also massive government contracts. These people are all friends.
Yeah.
They're not your friends.
No.
So how is this going to work? You're not going to go anywhere without them knowing exactly where they're going. You're not going to purchase food unless they allow you to with these digital currencies. And if you've had too much, if you've said the wrong thing about the government, well, I'm so sorry, but you're not allowed to go anywhere. They will shut off your vehicle. Yes, they have that ability. They've made it mandatory that remote shutoff is installed in all vehicles. Now you can look that up too.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry if I've destroyed
it's all
your sleep
good.
at night,
Yeah.
but that's it.
Greg, have you got time for one more question?
Yeah, let me just follow up on what she just said. It's 1 billion% true. Everything that she just said is a fact, verifiable. And you know what? People think it's far out there. Look it up for yourselves. So this is where people come in. You know, maybe we're all lying to you here. These are the facts. A system of control that people I don't believe are ready for. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to make people beg for it. Again, the collapse of this system, I believe that we are going to face. I mean, it's too obvious to me what's happening here.
Yeah.
A credit event, more than likely, and I would say is a certainty with regard to the next shoe to fall. And that means all transactions stop, pandemonium in the streets. And then again, they are going to extort control. People don't know what to do with themselves, and they're going to be very afraid. Fear is paralyzing, as we discussed before. They're going to look for any kind of a quote unquote solution, and they're going to have it because it's already in the works right now. Everything Lava was talking about, you spoke about here, it's all true, all of it. And if people don't get hip to it and they think, oh, well, this is just a conspiracy theory, well, then you know what? They have been psyoped into a belief system, a belief again that they don't know. I mean, they're comfortable there. I understand it. They're comfortable in their little spot, but it's time to get uncomfortable a little bit and start to research these kinds of things. Sure, hit me with whatever you got.
Just before I ask you the question, I mentioned on the drone side as well that Palantir have been developing kill drones. These are small drones that are autonomous. They're able to fly literally and just boom and kill you. These are the way that they're going to take out people that they don't like speaking out, unfortunately. And maybe one of us one day, we may be having this conversation with two of us, but unfortunately, we're going to continue. Now, Greg, Is it too late to stop this happening? And if people took up the attitude of 1776 and this time aim the revolution against the central banks, would we know freedom once more?
Absolutely. It's not too late. It's not too late now. That's why we got to come together right freaking. Like, you see, that's the thing. They got people believing it is too late and there's nothing they can do. Again, learned helplessness. Look it up, people. You think that Greg has made that up? Greg is just so smart that he made up learned helplessness? No, I'm not smart at all. Again, I told you in the beginning, I don't know anything. Zero.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I do know is I know nothing. So look it up for yourselves. See if Greg is lying to you. But absolutely, man, come on. That's why we're here. If there were no hope, I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be out, I don't know, maybe on some island somewhere by myself. I don't know, maybe I'd take you two with me as well. We'll go start our own community. I have no idea. Take people with us that understand. That's what I want to do. I really want to do it. And I think it's possible to do it. It's just a matter of people committing to something. And people don't want to commit to anything. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
But that's really the truth, man. You guys are so great. I've been honored and privileged to be in the presence of the both of you. And I want to thank you for having me here today. And this has been enlightening, even to me, honestly. And we're just going to keep moving forward. We're not going to stop. Okay. They're not going to stop. So I can promise everyone here that's listening, that's as a group here, we're not going to stop either. Yeah. We got to keep moving. And in fact, we're going to push even harder. Let them know that we are not mute, that we have a voice and we have a force behind us, an infinite power that is going to back us up and push us forward here. But we must come together willingly. It's all about free will. Right, Lava?
Yeah. Right. We're going to wrap this up now. So to finish off, Lava, can you please tell people watching that live in any country in the world with a central bank why they legally enacted a bail-in legislation back from 2013 and what its intended use is?
Well, a bank bail-in just means, in short, we got a good example of that with SVB. Yeah. Your funds, whenever you put them into an institution, become theirs. So if there is a crisis or something that they're the ones that get to call if there's an issue that they need this, they seize all of your assets. And that's the summary of it. It's very short, but
that's going to happen, no doubt.
Yeah, that's it. It's all in place. Thanks very much, Greg. Thanks very much, Lava. It is always incredible to have you on. I really do enjoy these talks, and I hope that people share this and get it out there. Time is running out, people. Time is running out quickly. What you do today determines the future for you and the future generations to come. The responsibility is in your hands, not only for your life, but for others around you. It's time to take that responsibility, people. We need to make the change in the world. Thanks, guys, for coming on. Look forward to speaking to you again soon. Happy 4th of July to everyone. Make this one count, because you may not see the freedom that this gave you from past experience. Take care, everyone, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank all of you, both of you.